We're just going to talk about the lay witness event mission that went on during our church for an entire weekend.
Okay, I'm just going to start off with the presentation. I'm going to go through and give you a brief background on about the event and what we established at our first meeting with the client. So this weekend is where lay witness people come in. It's a separate group of people that come in to the church and plan events for the whole church body. It's a mini retreat located at the church. Such an event can be a strong avenue for spiritual growth and commitment in the congregation. One element of the lay witness event is continuation. How can we continue the effects of the weekend on to the individuals? Okay, this is our timeline, give you a quick look at our process. We had our first email contact on October 16th, and then we went on to attend a church service, and then we created the survey, and then we actually attended the lay witness event, and at the end we gave our survey, and then we evaluated the survey results and met with the clients to give like a debrief and give recommendations to them. After our first meeting with the client, as a group, we were able to come up with presenting problems and underlying problems. These were the presenting problem was lack of participation and event planning within the church, and the underlying problem was a need for spiritual rejuvenation and excitement within the church. And from our first meeting, we were also able to compile some goals. These were long-term goals and overall goals that were expressed, and they were to create common goals and focus in the church, to revive the church by reaching out to individuals, bring the church community together for long term, and some goals just for the overall, just the weekend, the event. What did the lay witness mission have to reveal about the church? What new things might God be calling the church to do? What does the church need to form more small groups? And how can the church get more members involved in the church? And then we also came up with some goals of our own to help ourselves help them. And we wanted to introduce new ideas that would expand the attendance of the church activities, find desire and need of the congregation, and create a plan that would implement and sustain new ideas.
So we wanted to talk about why we did a survey, and I think it was recommended that that's what we would choose anyway, but we wanted to reassure you why this was the best way to collect data. And first, a large group of people. If we could have given one to the whole congregation, we would have, but unfortunately they didn't all attend the event. So we were able to gather information from a lot of people. It doesn't take too long to do, as an interview would take a longer time to get answers or something like that. This was just easy for them to fill out and it didn't take too long. Broad range of topics. As I show you this survey in a minute, you'll see that there were a lot of topics that we were able to cover and figure out some answers to. Also a time constraint. The event was planned, and then presentation for giving you the data was also planned. So we didn't have much time to do other methods. And also ease of administration. It was really easy to just hand it out and even compile the questions that you needed to ask. So I know you can't really see it that well, but this was our survey. We asked for age, if they were rejuvenated after the event, also what sessions they liked the best, if they belonged to a small group or if they would like to join a small group if they didn't. What else? Some things, maybe they had recommendations for what the church should do, what the church already does well, if they would like to be involved in a future lay witness event, and they could give their information listed below on the second page if they would like to be involved. So I'm going to leave this presentation quick and just show you what we showed our clients the other day when we met with them. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I don't want to steal Jess's thunder. So we met with them. And first, we want to start off saying that we believe that this event was successful due to the dedication and love that everyone has for God. And also, it was really important that if one person benefited, then it was a success. And also, exactly 50 surveys were received. So this is how I presented the age range. I'm not really going to go into it because this isn't the highlights of it. So, copies, general sessions, just the results we got, and other events people recommended. So we go on to talk about the themes, but I'm not really going to talk about that now, so Jess can talk about it later. So since we have all of that information, we had to come up with our findings. And I think the two top things, 44% of people said they strongly agreed the event was rejuvenating, and then 52% said they agreed that it was rejuvenating. And this just says that the majority of people needed some kind of event to get them lifted up. And they were missing that. So this just says that there is a need for maybe more events to get people to keep their spiritual high constant. 76% of participants said that the small groups were the most effective sessions. So this also the morning coffees were also, it was a high percentage, I think it was 60 something, but this just showed that people wanted something that was maybe a little more intimate. 48% of people who do not belong to a small group would like to join one. So those were the top things that I got from the information I had.
Okay. So in our survey that we had 2 or 3 questions that talked mainly about what the church does well, what the church would like to do in the future. So these were just the highlights of what a majority of people said. And the largest request was to create small groups. Some other requests were morning coffees. That was one of the main things that they did over the weekend. A couple people wanted a study of spiritual gifts. A couple people also wanted contemporary worship service as opposed to the traditional worship service that they have now, and some healing services, as well as more prayer continued throughout the entire service. Here are some of the strengths that people in the church thought that they did well. There's a lot of ministry groups. They do local ministry groups, such as outreach programs to local community, and more outreach programs. They do youth programs at the church that they use the church, not just for the church events. And then there's also community involvement and mission events. So based on the themes and the results of the survey, we have some recommendations. We have 3 different categories. The worship service, which you could offer a contemporary worship service in conjunction with the traditional service, or you could offer at the same time, at a different time, at a different day, whatever you feel as though would be the most beneficial for your congregation. Also, because there was a large request for healing services, maybe to offer that once every month or however often you feel as though it would be necessary for that. Also, one thing that we observed as well is what the most request was for more prayer during the services that we attended. Each person who got up to spoke asked another person to pray for them prior to speaking, so God would be able to lead their words and use them to their most effect. Also, the second theme or recommendation that we had regarded small groups, we thought, because Rick said that you guys have a lot of different small groups that met prior, still meet currently, but they're not really either expanding or continuing. So we thought maybe redefining the groups and then listing them in the bulletin, so that way there could be a sign-up sheet, there could be something to that effect. Also, to connect with new people, either having them sign up in a random group, assigning them to groups, just so, or even if 2 small groups wanted to meet and each small group wanted to meet a different group within that month or week and prior. Also, the third group, or the third recommendation was church involvement, just like morning coffees, community dinners, and other events that could get the church more involved. So some steps that we thought that you should be able to take next. Prior to having all of these changes happen, we thought it'd be beneficial if the church leaders held a informational type meeting, more kind of like a town hall type meeting where you have a general overview of the topics that you want to cover, and then have feedback from the congregation of what they think of the ideas, maybe if they have new ideas, and that way you can get everybody's input. The second is to have sign-up sheets in the lobby for people who are willing to be leaders of the small groups. That can just be in conjunction with the small groups that are available, having a list of people who would be willing to be leaders. And then another suggestion that we had was to make an event calendar of the small group meetings, morning coffees, when they were available, who was hosting them, where they were, just so that way if anyone didn't have a chance to sign up, they can just look at the event calendar and either call that person in advance or just attend the event itself. The second is adding the calendar events to the announcements during church service, just so the congregation is aware further if they missed it in the lobby, that they have that reminder. And then finally, at the end of the year, just to have a feedback session of maybe just a small one and then also a large congregational one, kind of like the first informational meeting, just to get the feedback of the small group leaders, what they thought was effective, what they could use in the future, and maybe some other ideas that they had come up with throughout their time.
So we should open it up for questions. Do you guys have any questions?
I don't have any questions, I just have one comment, is that I think you guys caught the essence of everything that we were doing and trying to do, just in the short time that we met with you. So you guys should be congratulated for that, to be receptive to, I guess, our feelings and our thoughts and the feelings of the church. And you're welcome back, you know, you're welcome back.
Let's know what those dinners are.
To help us-
Really.
Yeah,
we're
for lunch.
To help us anytime, okay? If you want to check in on us like every quarter